All right, so this is J. Benham. He was born in New York, and he came out here to meet his father. They ended up getting together here in Deter, but his dad's name was Alex, and Alex was he was a famous express rider. And I guess he was the one that received the telegraph that Abraham Lincoln's, about his presidential election in 1860, and then carried that out west on horseback. But I guess that's what his dad is known for. But yeah, he came out here in 1886 with his dad and started a cattle and sheep ranch. And then by 1900, the ranch was really well known, and cattle from that ranch were being shipped as far as Chicago. So it was becoming pretty big. Jay is one of the founders of the Buyer State Bank, and he started a school in 1911. So yeah, and then he died in 1916. And he's buried here with his wife Louise. So yeah, a little bit of Colorado history for you. All right, so this is James Ambrose Scott. He was a native of Ohio. He left home around the age of 21. Near Kearney, Nebraska. He ended up signing on with a cattle drive, serving as one of the cooks there. He married a lady named Henrietta in 1891, and that couple ended up moving here to Deer Trail, where they had 6 children. That marriage ended in divorce, and Mr. Scott here was forced to kind of raise the kids on his own. But he ended up expanding his horse ranch to include a lot of acreage in Deer Trail. And then he ended up marrying another woman named Jeanette. And then they had 2 children here in Deer Trail. So he ended up with 8 children. He ended up losing everything. I'm not sure how, but he ended up losing everything and becoming an assistant manager at a resort near the mountain town of Bailey, which isn't terribly far from here. But yeah, in Bailey he ended up getting shot and killed by a man named Robert Proudfeet. I guess Robert was employed by Scott at one point and held some type of grudge. I'm not sure what it was, but yeah, the judge claimed him as insane, and he spent the rest of his life in the Pueblo State Hospital for the insane. So at least, some justice was served for James Scott here. So yeah, rest in peace, Mr. Scott. I'm assuming that marker over there is maybe his children, maybe some of his children, a couple of his children. I'm not 100% sure. See, 1896 and 1906. 1896. I mean, yeah, that's probably a couple of his kids there. Here's another one, Richard Scott. And then Martha Scott here. So I'm sure a few of his kids are buried here as well. So yeah, rest in peace to the Scott family. All right, to the right on this marker, we have Mr. William N. Sniff. He was one of the earliest and most prosperous pioneer ranchers in this area. He died at home with his daughter in 1941, and he came here when he was 15 by himself. He left home in Iowa, I believe is where he originated. He worked for a few years at a railroad, earning like, I don't know, $26 a month, and didn't spend any of his earnings because he was trying to buy a ranch out here, which he ended up doing in 1891. A few years, let's see, he married at the age of 40 and had 2 children. His wife died in 1911, leaving him again to raise the children. He remarried his housekeeper. I'm assuming she helped him take care of the babies. So yeah, another famous Colorado pioneer right here. Rest in peace to Mr. William. I'm not sure who William K Sniff is. I'm assuming maybe that's his brother. I was under the impression that he had a brother, but I don't think his brother's name, I think his name was Alonzo. So I don't know who this other William person is. Maybe it's a typo, I don't know. So yeah, rest in peace to the Sniffs. Alright, this is the grave of Mr. Philip Deter. He was born in 1865, died in 1966. I'm just going to go ahead and read this to you. So, he was born in LaGrange, Indiana. He left home at an early age. In Texas, he joined a cattle herd headed for Akron, Colorado. He made his home in Deer Trail in 1882, working as a cow puncher for several ranchers. He became a cook on the trail drives, earning twice the wages of a cowboy. Over the years, he was known as a barbecue specialist, heralded all over the country. In 1891, he married Julia O'Connor, who worked at the White Hotel in Deer Trail. The couple took squatters' right on 160 acres, 4.5 miles north of Deer Trail. They filed homestead rights in 1901. 10 children were raised on this homestead. In time, they expanded their land holdings and became one of the largest ranches in the country. Philip Deter personally knew the likes of Buffalo Bill Cody, Governor Billy Adams, outlaws Sam Bass, and Billy the Kid, from whom he claimed he once bought a horse. One of the earliest pioneers of Deer Trail, he was honored in 1962, receiving an engraved certificate from the Homestead Centennial Association. This was in honor of the 100th anniversary of the Homestead Act. On his 100th birthday in 1965, Brown served as a grand marshal in the annual Deer Trail parade, riding a horse and holding his own. So he's buried beside his wife Julia here, who died in 1929. Another famous Colorado pioneer. All right, so this is Mr. Otto Brown. He was born in 1852 and died in 1898. So he was under 50 when he died. He came out here to run a sheep ranch. In the fall in 1898, he suddenly disappeared. A neighbor of his notified the authorities of Brown's disappearance and began surveillancing his ranch while the sheriff's department was searching the area. So the neighbor did notice that Brown's dog was constantly wandering between the cabin between Otto's cabin and one of the creeks nearby. And so a few days later, he decided to follow the dog, and kind of poking around in the area, he discovered the hidden body of Otto Brown. The murderer was eventually found and apprehended, trying to. He was attempting to herd Brown's sheep over the Laramie Bridge in Wyoming. So this man died because some jackass wanted to take his sheep. I don't understand that. But I guess justice was served for Mr. Brown here. So rest in peace to Otto Brown.